Hello and welcome. Bienvenidos a mi canal de YouTube, Food Tactics. Welcome to my food channel, Food Tactics. This is going to be a little bit Spanish, a little bit of English, because we want to pay a little bit of tribute to our star today. Gracias al amigo Daniel Rosado, compañero de allá de Puerto Rico, de la policía de Puerto Rico y de la milicia del US Army, que envió este salmón desde Anchorage, Alaska. Vamos a abrirlo, acaba de llegar. So vamos a abrir a ver qué tenemos aquí. Vemos que está bien empacado. Y vemos que tenemos aquí. Nada más y nada menos que un Alaskan salmon, muy preciado, very precious, very sought out fish. And we have some other goodies that we will inquire about these products so we can cook them as well. We have another one here, another salmon, and we have another mystery meat that I will be finding out. Otra carne que no sabemos lo que es. Por su parecido, puedo creer que es un tipo de venado o un tipo de antílope. By the look, I may say it's either a deer or some type of caribou or something. We will find out. So, we will come back later for a recipe with the salmon. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back. We have the salmon. Alaskan wild caught salmon. So today's tutorial, it's not going to be any cooking, it's going to be how to break it down. If you buy the fish or if you catch a fish whole, the first thing you want to do is dress the fish, and I do not mean putting a coat or putting a jacket. What dress means is to remove the guts, remove all the internal organs, and then you have the fish ready to process it. The first thing that we have to do is take the scales off the fish. I already have done that. It's a little bit of a messy process. So you want to have like a butter knife, a dull knife like this, and you want to scrape. You're going to run your hand. It's going to be a smooth part and a not so smooth part. So you want to run it against that smooth part so you can remove all the scales. It's going to be messy. You need a lot of water, a lot of patience, but it is doable. So, tools that you will need. For right now, you want a long blade. I have a slicer, which is flexible. You can use a chef knife. I've done it with a chef knife. This happens to be a little bit easier. You want it to be sharp. You don't want a dull knife, because a dull knife, you will try to help the knife, and the knife will turn against you and cut you. A sharp knife will glide through the fish a lot easier. Another thing that you would need is a pair of kitchen shears. And when you have kitchen shears, you want to make sure that you can take them apart so you can wash them thoroughly. Another thing that you want is you want a big handle versus the size of the cutting part. Why is this? Because you want to be able to apply some force. This fish is a strong fish. It usually swims against the current. And special thanks, muchas gracias a mi amigo Daniel Rosado, que está en Anchorage, Alaska, el cual envió esto overnight FedEx, y tenemos una delicia. We have a delicacy here, compliments of my friend Daniel from Alaska. So the first thing that we want to do is remove the fins. We have the dorsal fins that we want to remove. And again, we're gonna just put them in the sink, and then we're gonna put them in a bag and discard them. So you want to make sure that you grab securely, and you want to start cutting the fins like such. If you try to do this with a knife, it's going to be a little bit difficult. So here we go. We have one remove. Remember, what you do in side A, you must do in side B. Side B. So remove the other dorsal fin. We have the pectoral fins here that we're going to remove. What you do in one side, you must do in the other side. Both of the fins are removed. You can put them away. You have the fin from close to the tail here. You want to grab firmly, and you want to start cutting firmly to remove this. Again, check your fish. How do you know a fish is fresh? Well, of course, bright eyes. You can see how bright the eye is. When you lift the gills up, it is bright red. The flesh is firm and it springs back. And yes, you have to do the nose test. When you smell it, it smells like water, like freshness. It doesn't smell fishy. If the fish smells fishy, there's something wrong with it. Okay, so we have two upper fins right here that we're going to remove. This one shouldn't be too hard. And then we're going to do the big one right here. This helps the fish propel itself and swim rapidly. Because this fish is very active, it has a lot of nutrients, a lot of essential oils that benefit ourselves, like the omega-369. That's what gives this nice bright orange color. So I have all the fins removed. I have a little thing here from the head, and yes, I use the head. You can do a broth. It's going to be a little bit oily with salmon, but you can do a broth with it as well. The tail, some people remove the tail before filleting it. I'm just going to leave the tail and use it as a guide. Okay, so if you can get a little bit closer here to see this process, what we're going to do is, you see the opening of the gills. In Spanish it's called the operculo. So you want to have this here, and you want to make a diagonal cut. You want to make a diagonal cut from the very top of the head to the belly. This is the belly of the salmon, which is a lot fattier because that's where they store a lot of fat for energy. So with a very sharp knife, you want to make sure you go around this collar. This is the collar of the fish, and you're going to make an incision all the way down. Of course, allowing the knife to do the work for you. You see how it's already there? Okay, and I'm going to make another incision here at the tail. I don't want to go too low. I don't want to go too high. So about here will be just fine. And of course, let the knife glide just like such. You can see how strong this flesh is because they are swimming in Arctic waters. So it is very important for them to be protected at all times. So now what we want to do, I'm going to show you, I'm lefty, so I'm going to have to turn it around. This top part right here, if you touch it, you're going to feel the pin bone section of it, okay, where the little spine is, and you want to go just above the spine to avoid all those pin bones, and you want to let the knife glide on top of those pin bones, making smooth strokes so you don't destroy the fish. It's been a while since I've done this, so let's see how we're gonna do. So we're gonna cut like such here. You want to expose that, and you want to make a cut all the way down. You want to have your hand flat, okay? Because the hand and the knife have to be parallel. If the knife goes upward, you're in danger. If the knife goes downward, you're going to start getting a lot of pin bones. It's going to start doing this little sound when you're cutting the pin bones. So I'm coming like this, and when I press down, I get a feel of where my knife is, and I can sense all those bones. Again, you can take a peek and put your knife there and let the knife glide. Let the knife glide. You can see we're exposing the pin bones. Okay, and we want to glide our knife like such. If you feel that you need to cut a little bit more, you can go a little bit further down. There's a little tricky part there. There, we got it. And remember, I have a setup for easy cleanup. I have plastic wrap and I have these cutting boards here because you want to be able to maneuver your fish according to what you want to do. So we're cutting again, letting ourselves be guided by the bones. So I can see that right here, I've released that. I have just this little section here that I want to go above those bones. You can hear the little sound of the pin bones. There's nothing wrong with that. And then you want to go all the way down. Glide your knife and you have your fillet. See how nice and bright orange. This is the belly part of it. We will be removing this belly part, and now we're gonna do the other side. So I'm gonna do the other side and then we'll come back to do the rest. Stay tuned. Okay, so we have one fillet, we have our second fillet. This carcass, as I mentioned earlier, this carcass has still some good amount of meat. Of course, if you went a little bit deeper, we would be getting all these pin bones, but you can definitely make a broth. You can roast this off. If you're feeling adventurous, you can scrape it with a spoon and eat it raw. It's perfectly fine. It's so fresh that it's totally fine. However, I'm gonna save this to roast it and scrape it off with a spoon and eat the little flakes of the fish. I will put this here because I want you guys to pay attention now. We try to avoid all the pin bones, but they are pin bones. We have a pair of tweezers. You don't want to be doing your eyebrows with these, but you want to start removing. You want to run your finger. Of course, there will be some that you will notice right away because they're long. And what you can do is just start grabbing them. I like to put them in a paper towel because the paper towel is gonna stick to them. And you can start grabbing the pin bones with the tweezers, or some fish, the pin bones are stronger, so you might want to use needle nose pliers for that. And you want to remove all this. Remember, if you are promising a fillet of fish, if you're promising a fillet of fish, you want to make sure that those pin bones are not in the fillet, because somebody can get, choked up with them, and it's a hazard. When you start seeing less and less of them, you want to run your fingers against, and the finger will tell you where they are. So you run your finger, and you want to kind of wiggle a little bit to release them without tearing the flesh. So there's quite a few here. This is when you got to be a little bit patient, okay? So we're gonna pause. I'm gonna finish pin boning this, and then we'll come back to portion our fish. All right, so all the pin bones are removed. I'm gonna show you this to the camera. Look at that beautiful color. No pin bones in sight. We do still have the belly, which we're gonna remove because the flavor of the belly is a little bit pungent, a little bit strong. You can do other stuff. I've even done salmon bacon, believe it or not, and it's really, really tasty. So I'm not gonna remove a lot, but I'm going to remove this excess part here. You see I'm tilting the knife in a 45-degree angle to avoid cutting most of the flesh, okay? You want to do long strands, long cuts to remove the belly of the salmon. Now, as I said earlier, you can play around with the salmon to how you need. This is a thin part, so if I cut here, it's gonna be a very small portion. So I'm gonna measure like such, and you have a portion right here, which I'm gonna put on top of this parchment paper. This is good for a salad, for a lunch, something sensible. It's not really big, but it's gonna be very tasty, very fresh, very nutritious. Okay, so I'm gonna go for another portion right here. Usually in restaurants, we try to serve 7.5 to 8 ounces for a dinner portion, and like 5.5 to 6 for lunch. This is a little bit smaller, but is a lot more quality. So this part here, we have a little tricky part here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a full size and maybe a small little kid's portion right there. So I still have one to do. It's gonna be the same procedure. So I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. I know I'm gonna enjoy cooking this. There's gonna be another video. The next video with salmon is gonna be cooking the king salmon, which is the Rolls Royce of salmon from Alaska. Again, muchas gracias, Daniel Rosado. Very, very, very thankful to my friend Daniel Rosado for sending this package. He did send some moose, so stay tuned because there's gonna be some wild animals in the recipes to come. So as always, stay tuned to Food Tactics. Subscribe to the channel, like us on Facebook, and God bless you and happy cooking.